Can you tell the difference between these two iPads? Probably not, like most people. In fact, I filmed a video where I made the mistake of using the M2 instead of the M3. Let's talk about the M3 iPad versus the M2 iPad. What are the differences? Which one should you buy with your hard-earned money? All right, so right here I have both the M3 and the M2 iPad Air. They are wonderful iPads. The thing is, though, man, they are pretty much the exact same iPad. One has an M3 chip on it, and here is the main difference that I found out. The iPad M3 does not have the logo and stuff right here. So that's pretty much the only external difference. So if you're buying this aftermarket, make sure that it is an M3 iPad without the writing, and it's not the M2, which does have the writing. But this is the blue color that it comes in now. It's a gorgeous color. I really like this, this blue color. Granted, it's not like stark blue like the A16 iPad. You could really tell that it was blue. Sorry, I got notifications on. And this like subtle baby blue, sky blue kind of thing, you can't really tell. And most people are probably going to put a case on this anyways, so your color variations don't matter all that much. Now these iPads come in I have the 13-inch version right here. They also come in an 11-inch version. I prefer with an iPad Air the larger screen because I like to use it with the Apple Pencil. And what's cool with the 13-inch is when you're using it, it actually is like the size of a full piece of paper. And so for me, as somebody who takes a whole lot of notes, like all the time I'm taking notes, having the full-size iPad is really helpful for me. Now, as you can see on these iPads, I don't know if you can see it in the screens, these are the 60 hertz screens, and so they're not 120 hertz, which a lot of people think is a big issue. I understand if you're spending this much money, 120 hertz should be the base model, and 240 should be the Pro model. But for Apple, they're not right now. These are 60 hertz, which is not the ProMotion display. They are still, however, really beautiful. Like when you're using these iPads, there's not an issue where you're like, oh man, I feel like I got gypped. No, these things, they look great. The feel of it, you get used to after about a day or so. And so, having the 60 hertz is not that big of a deal. It is different if you're an artist and you're drawing a ton and you're going really fast, and you're making a lot of lines. You will notice a little bit more lag on the non-ProMotion display as you would on the ProMotion display. But overall, like the color accuracy of these displays, they're absolutely gorgeous. I don't think you need to worry. Like, listen, if you're doing emails, you're watching YouTube, you're watching Netflix, you're surfing the web, having the 120 hertz doesn't really help you at all. In fact, it hinders you because the battery life is going to drain faster than if it were 120 hertz. 120 hertz drains faster than a 60 hertz. So I don't mind not having 120 hertz. Like when you're looking at this display, that doesn't feel bad at all. Like, and if you don't have a ProMotion display to work with, like on the side, then you're not going to notice it really at all. All right, this is the magnetic flip case from ESR. I have been super impressed with this case. ESR has been great to work with, but this case is sitting on my iPad Air, and I want to show you some of the cool features with this thing. The biggest thing that I have found is that with this iPad, because the iPad Air, specifically for me, the iPad Air 13 is so big, sometimes cases get a little unwieldy, but what's been awesome about this ESR case is the fact that it is so sturdy. Like when you push on this thing, it's not going anywhere. So the cool thing about it has 3 different modes. The first mode is viewing mode. The second mode is for drawing, and then the third mode is a portrait mode, which is really helpful when you want to stand your iPad up, say you're looking at Instagram Reels or something like that on your iPad. It's really cool to have it in that vertical orientation. Now, like I said, this thing is an absolute beast when it comes to the pressure you can put on it while you're using it. As you can see, it does have the Apple Pencil as part of the case, so you're never going to lose your Apple Pencil when you are using the magnetic flip case. And what's really great is once you're done with it, it really doesn't add much bulk to the iPad at all. It remains thin and light because, I mean, you're paying for an iPad. You want to make sure that it's not some bulky, huge thing. The magnetic flip case makes it so that this thing stays light and small. Now, ESR also has these really great screen protectors. The cool thing about it is they're so easy to apply. If you've ever used screen protectors from other companies, sometimes it's hard to get them to sit on right and have, not have bubbles in it and stuff. ESR, they use the case of it to make it super easy to apply. So you just flip the thing over, pull the little strip out, make sure your hand is on it, and you're done. So my ESR magnetic flip case has been on my iPad Air for about 2 weeks now, and I'm not gonna take it off because it just makes this iPad so much more useful for me in everyday life. If you wanna pick up yours, go ahead and hit the link in the description below. Thank you again, ESR, for sponsoring today's video. Let's jump back into it. So let's look at the profile, like the side profile of these things. They are the exact same device. They are both, like, externally they are the exact same other than that writing. The camera is the same on these guys. So the question is, like, what's actually different on these? And It's the chip. It's the M3 chip that's been placed inside the new iPads. Here's the difference. The M3 is slightly faster than the M2. Same cores, same GPUs. You can do a little bit of configuring on it, but overall, same exact thing. And one other difference is you get, on the M3, you actually get ProRes, you get AV1 encoding. Again, most people don't even care about that at all. So if you're gonna pick between these two, the M2 or the M3, I would personally probably just go with the M2, save a little bit of the extra money. I mean, that's kind of the big thing with where Apple's at today. And it's a huge blessing for most people. Like, you don't have to go with the bleeding edge of technology anymore. You can go with a generation or two back, and it's going to be amazing. The M1 iPad Air still feels absolutely incredible. Like, if you are using it for everyday tasks and you're watching YouTube, all that kind of stuff, it's just going to feel awesome, like a brand new iPad. And so, I don't know, with this iPad Air, the M3 chip, it's hard to recommend it to anybody. I mean, I have it because I am a tech reviewer, but if I were going to buy one today, I would probably go back with the M3 or the M2 Air just to save a little bit of extra money and get 90% of the same experience. Listen, your Apple Pencil is going to feel the same on it. You got to make sure with the Apple Pencil that you're careful, because there are certain, I have a comparison video I'll link to at the end of this that tells you which pencil goes with what. But you got to be careful with the Apple Pencil, because when Apple introduces something, they typically like to have accessories that go only with that, so that you have to spend extra money. These guys both have 8 gigs of RAM. They both, 8-core CPU, 9-core GPU. So it's just not going to be all that different. Now, here's the cool thing. If you do end up going with the M3 iPad Pro over here, it's going to last a really long time. I mean, you're spending about $800 on these things. That's going to last you about 8 years. And so you're essentially paying $100 a year to use an iPad. That's not that bad at all. Now, the cool thing is with these iPads, they really are kind of Goldilocks placement for you. The iPad Mini, the Mini 7 is my favorite iPad, but I know most people aren't going to want a screen that small, that size. The A16 is a fantastic one, but it doesn't have a laminated screen. So if you want the best screen for the best price, the iPad Air is probably going to be it. And then when you get into the range of the iPad Pro, I mean, you are seriously in the range of a MacBook Air, and you might as well go with a full-blown computer at that point. One thing for some people, if this is going to be your only device, you're going to have to figure out a couple weird workarounds, because iPadOS just isn't completely where I think it needs to be in 2025. And so you're just going to have some strange workarounds that you have to do, specifically with file management and stuff like that. In the end, people do this all the time. They figure out how to make it work for their everyday life, and it's a great single use case. If that's the case, you definitely want to get the keyboard, and you probably want to get the Apple Pencil, just because you want to kit yourself out for whatever might come your way. So, do I recommend the M3 iPad Air? That's a tricky question. I do, if you're probably coming from the 2018 iPad Pro, which is before the M series chips. If you're coming from that far back, then yeah, man, this iPad Air is going to feel lightning fast, brand new. Battery life is going to be absolutely wild on this thing. But anything newer, it's not going to be that big of a jump up, especially for most people, because you're just not saturating the M3 chip inside this thing. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't do major work on an iPad. And so, yeah, it's a good iPad. The experience of it is fantastic, but you can save money by going with the M2. So that's up to you. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the new M3 iPad Air. Do you think it's worth it? Who do you think should upgrade it? Let me know your thoughts. Like this video if you found it helpful. Sub to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.